I'm going to show you how to make your own watercolor sketchbook. Recently, I've become obsessed with the pursuit of filling sketchbooks, and when I travel, I like to try to fill an entire sketchbook with things from the trip. And this is my go-to notebook because it has watercolor paper in it, also because of its size. It's small, which means that it's easier to travel with, and also there's less area to actually have to cover with paint, so it takes a little less time to fill the pages than something a lot bigger. But it has a lot of pages in it. In this one, you could do 24 double page spreads or 48 individual pages. So today I want to make my own with about half the number of pages so that it will be less daunting to fill. The method I'm going to use is a super simple 3-punch binding. It's not that fancy, but it's very quick and it gets the job done. If you want to do it, you're going to want to use whatever watercolor paper calls to you. For example, I want to use cold press paper, and I think I might put a piece of black watercolor paper in there too, just to add a little something extra. Other than that, you're gonna need something to punch the holes. I actually like to use this punch. It's literally just a sharp pointy thing. You're gonna need something to crease the pages. I've got this, which will work good for that, or you could use the back of something like this, or a paintbrush would work too. Some embroidery thread and an embroidery needle. Scissors. If you want yours to be pretty on the outside, you can take some old art. I found these in a drawer and I forgot I had them, so might as well put them on a journal. And I also like to use scraps of cardboard for when I'm trying to punch the holes through so that it gives it something to sink into. You can just take your pages and fold them in half, or if you want to modify the size of the sketchbook, start by cutting all your pages to size. That's how big mine are gonna be. And by doing that, I'm also left with tester strips, and I use these all the time when I paint. Next up, we want to fold all of our pieces in half, and I was just gonna use this, but then I remembered I have this old paper cutter that the cutter doesn't work well on anymore, but I keep it because it has a scoring part to it. So it actually scores it right down where I want it to go, and then it easily folds over. Then we want to pocket all of our pieces together, including with our cover. And then I'm going to clamp mine together to make sure they stay in place. And this next part could be pretty hard if you use a lot of paper like I did, or thick paper like I did, but we're going to take our punch and we're going to poke 3 holes through the entirety of this whole thing. There we go. Most people will probably measure this out, but I'm just going to do it by eye because I don't like to measure things. After I've got my holes poked, I'm going to thread an embroidery needle with embroidery thread. Just going to leave a nice long tail there and make sure I have a decent amount of this to go through. Then I'm going to start on the center hole and go from the outside in over to either one of the other holes, back out, all the way down to the bottom hole, back in, and then I'm going to go back out that center hole. For some added stability, I'm actually going to go through these again because mine is pretty thick, but the goal is to end up with this coming from the inside to the outside where we started. And then you'll have 2 pieces of thread that you can tie securely around this. You could make it into a little bow if you think it'd be cute. And I do. I'm gonna double knot that and then put a dot of glue just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. This is gonna be perfect for my adventure. And I also made a second one just in case.